The ERP Doctors with Dan Aldridge and Sam Gupta, powered by Insight Jam.
I am here today. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing my friend from Down Under, Judith O'Callaghan, and we'll be talking today about her experiences at Lemongrass and also as a digital transformation and SAP expert in the field. So, Judith, can you introduce yourself, please?
And thank you, Dan, for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure. So I'm Judith O'Callaghan. I currently work for Lemongrass, and we are a company that helps organizations move large SAP environments to the cloud. So we are cloud agnostic, and we help any organization get the outcome that we need. And I've been in the SAP industry for over 20 years since my graduation, and I've seen great outcomes achieved. So best days of my life.
Yes, that's great. Yep. So we share, and I think you work also in manufacturing.
Yes, I did.
With manufacturing companies as well.
With manufacturing companies as well. So the client range has been broad. I started with manufacturing companies, helping manufacturing companies in South India, and of late, the flavor of companies that I'm helping are utilities and utilities, critical infrastructure, essential services. So anyone who needs to keep things on all the time.
Right. So a lot of finance in there too, I'll bet.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we've talked about a lot of things together, you and I. I saw you originally on Eric Kimberlink's show some month ago, and just really liked your style and watching you. You were explaining some about your ancient wisdom and how you apply that to digital transformation projects. And just watching you, my blood pressure goes down.
Oh, thank you.
It's wonderful. You know, you have a very calming effect, which I'm sure you have on clients as well. But you can tell you know your stuff, and also, and you're probably in a previous life you were probably a yoga instructor if you're not one now. But definitely have that calming effect on people, which I thought was great. And in some conversations, both you write very well, and I like to write a lot about the industry and about tips and tricks for keys for digital transformation success and so on. So we had kind of similar themes, and we even talked about writing a book, which was kind of neat. And then we got started talking about how we might collaborate on a call. And you came up with a really interesting way of describing a transformation or an ERP implementation or upgrade in terms of having a fridge replaced, a refrigerator replaced in your house. So can you explain a little bit the approach that you were talking about there? I just loved it. So
so I like to make things keep things simple and in ways that all of us can understand. So the way I see a situation is that, let's say we have a nice kitchen and the fridge that we have been using is, which was working fine, needs replacement for any reason. So we have multiple ways we can achieve or look at that situation. So one scenario is, yes, we can go and get a fridge that fits in that space, and off we go. So that's one way of solving the problem. The other thing is, if we can't find a fridge that fits in that space, say you make minor kitchen modifications, make sure the fridge actually fits and it's fit for purpose, and move on with the next steps. And if we are at a stage or wherein the kitchen actually needs replacing for any reason, or if it's old or not fit for purpose, and you use this as an opportunity to redo the whole kitchen and maybe part of your living area. So there is multiple ways we can look at a solution. So that applies to transformation or digital transformation. So there is case for everything, and there is no right way or wrong way to do it. It's only the client who is at the recipient's end, in this case, the owner of the house, who can actually decide what's the right way to approach it.
Right. So that's the company. And then the refrigerator also, I thought it was neat that the refrigerator would be the new latest internet connected model that can turn on your toaster in the morning and everything like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to one that just kind of gets the job done.
Exactly right. So we can go
just thinking in terms of like an old system. Okay, so we'll just take it to an ECC, to an S4HANA conversion, what you're doing typically. And that would be that old fridge, it's like the grandma's icebox down in the basement, but it gets the job done. And you might have put in some bells and whistles into it to try to deal with, some situation that, the fridge had to do in the past, right? So it's sort of a customization of your old fridge. And so you'd have several issues there, right? You'd have how does it change from going to the totally interconnected turn on the toaster model from your old model? And how do you deal with those custom things that you built into your old fridge?
Exactly. So there is multiple ways of looking at this as well, right? So it's great to say the fridge can turn on the toaster, and it can also has the alarm to wake me up or anything like that. It also comes with a package. With the old fridge, you can go and get stuff done at any time, and all the bells and whistles worked for you in that scenario. Yeah. So in this case, you'll need time to understand this fridge and see how it's actually working and the modifications, if needed, to your lifestyle. So that happens a lot in transformations. So when we undertake a transformation, which is far too cool, yes, it is great, but there is also adjustments that the organization will have to do to accommodate or to get the best outcome of it. So there is always two sides to it, and it's only the organization who can say this is the right thing for me. So in my case, I talk about the fridge a lot because my parents' fridge was never replaced in 20 years because it worked well for them. It had a few parts replaced, but exactly, and it worked really, really well for them. But the moment they upgraded to a new fridge, all sorts of problems started appearing, including challenges with the power, or it's consuming more than what's needed, to other problems like I can't, why do I have to keep these things separately and not together? And, nice. Very practical problems, but problems to solve. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think also you made a really nice kind of comparison of these different cases and the different scenarios that we just talked about to the various, Brownfield, Greenfield, Bluefield that you hear about. And I thought that was really good because I had like Paul Kowitzer and a bit of Paul Byrne, those guys, and explain that to me. And then also the issue of phase zero, which I think Eric is picking up on as well. But Paul Byrne was talking about that with me. Yeah. So how do you kind of equate those? I've heard the terms Brownfield, it is equal to a lift and shift. Is there truly a lift and shift? Is that really a thing? Because, it seems like that would be a horribly difficult, other than a technical migration, maybe data technical migration. What does a Brownfield do for you?
So here is my take on things, and there is no one right way or wrong way to do it. So phase zero for me, it's a period of conscious pause. It is an opportunity for the organization, advisors, and everyone involved in the transformation to take a step back and have a conscious thought on saying what is the right solution that is for us. Understand who we are serving, understand whose needs we need to meet, and understand overall what is in it for the organization. So transformation for the sake of transformation is not necessarily going to achieve anyone the outcome. So the examples that I can think of, there are clients who have not transformed but still achieved their outcomes and they have met their goals, and clients who have had the right size transformation for them, they're happy with them. And some of the clients that we have all worked with, the Pauls or me or Eric and yourself, we have all worked with, used an opportunity for a technical change to be able to transform their whole company. We can give examples for all of them in different stages. So the way I see Brownfield is, it has the limited amount of business change. So yes, you do a lift and shift, and you define the scope of the lift and shift. So if you're an organization which have been, hoarding data for 60 years, and if you want to lift and shift all the data and transform very minimal, that's your choice. But if that's that gives you the outcome you need, absolutely. So in my experience, the clients who go through this process, lift and shift, irrespective of what they want to do next, they see a lot of positives. For example, cloud is a lot faster than on-premise in many cases. So in some cases, yes, there is problems with if the country doesn't have stable internet supply and all that, they have different problems. And in those cases, is cloud the right answer? We don't know yet. But for clients in countries who have stable internet and affordable internet, yes, moving to a hyperscaler may be a good choice. Yes, you can spend slightly lesser when compared to on-prem because you scale up and scale down as needed, and then you can performance optimize a few things. And there was one retailer who actually scales up every time there is a sale within a short period of time. You can do all that, but it all comes with a bunch of changes as well. So you need to train your team to be able to look for things that people haven't previously looked for. So aspects like FinOps, AIOps, or DevOps become very much important because when you're operating in the cloud, it is a cloud. So it's like saying, I'm from the tropics and I was raised in the tropics. So when I moved to a place which was really, really cold, I got used to wearing layers. So the challenge for me was to make sure that I carry a coat when I get in the car or anything. So that was a change for me. So
another good analogy, by the way.
Exactly. Oh, thank you. So
you're very good at those.
Thank you. So when you move to the cloud, there are subtle things that everyone will recognize, identify, and work through. So understand that and keep eyes and mind open and work through and watch your bills. Like it's we've got solar panels. Yes, there is a battery and everything. But the flip side is if we don't run all appliances, like 2 appliances at the same time, we still remain within that frequency or the window that we can use. But if we do something different, then we have a different problem to deal with. Same with the cloud. So you may be able to do everything that you want to do, but there may be a framework or a structure that the organization may have to develop over time, observing how things go. And the second case, so this is my take on Brownfield. And the second one, which is my favorite, is the Bluefield. So Paul Byrne,
it's a hybrid
Wayne,
one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a hybrid one. So it was interesting. So the answer, Eric, me, Wayne Holtham were working on an implementation. This was in 2019. So something very favorite to my heart. The business case was, it was one of the, as in Australia, people called it a basket case. That means there was not real solutions there.
We have basket cases too.
Oh, okay. So it was a new expression for me. I was like, okay, where's the basket? And then someone explained it to me. So, and then it was a creative solution by Eric, Wayne, few others who put our brains together. So Bluefield is technically not an IT word. So when we researched what a Bluefield is, our take on it is very simple. Bring what's working, change what's needed. So this is what do you call a perspective of informed change. So there are many companies who use Bluefield in very different ways, but the original intent of the Bluefield term as such, which was formed, I think, earlier than the 70s, it came from a different industry. I don't recall it at the moment, but it came from a very different industry. It's about bring what's working, change what's needed. So that's beautiful, the case for an informed change. So when we looked at the business processes and everything else, there were so many processes that were stable and working, and there were absolutely no reason to change that. And it gives the stakeholder what they want to it, and it was able to serve the vendor or the client or whoever it is. It was serving its purpose. But there were a bunch of processes that needed to change, and this is a case for an informed change. So in many cases, when people say, let's change, it's very easy to go and say, okay, let's go completely, transform this process and make all these things work. So the understanding the underlying aspects of the process is very important. In that case, for that client, for that very specific client especially, it was an older organization, that means it was serving a different set of purposes or a different set of agenda when these processes were implemented. And now it has morphed, and now the organization needs to do something else. So part of the processes were still working, or rather minor tweaks needed, and that was implemented. Okay. And the other ones needed a complete overhaul. And then you think about, should you actually implement the solution, or should you take a pause and see what else, how else you can achieve the problem? So in my opinion, if we look at it like a puzzle, our brains will, everyone involved will find their own way, and the organization can find the right solution that is right for them. So the solution could be right in the doorstep. So it's a beautiful thing, Bluefield. So we all have seen clients who have been through Bluefield, and we've had very positive experiences. Yeah.
So you're in favor of that, and it's a bit more phased as well, right? To be over time.
You do it over time.
I was looking at the Greenfield. The Greenfield seems to be the one with the most transformative change, but also the most risk.
Most risk and most impact. Yeah.
Yeah, most impact. And the people part. So the phase 0 becomes that much more important in the case of a Greenfield. But the blue, I like hybrids. I like a little bit of hybrid, hybrids. Methodology, maybe a bit of waterfall and a bit of agile, and, things like that. I like those because it's taking the benefits of both.
Best of both worlds, right? Yeah. And Greenfield, yes, there is an absolute case for Greenfield. For example, if an organization is getting formed, or it's just a baby, there is no point in going for any of the Brownfield or Bluefield. So it's like, it's a case that's really straight. So just get a Greenfield, do what is right, and do what's modern. Set yourself up for success.
I was going to say, if you have an ECC system that's 25 years old or whatever, or maybe even R3, going way back.
It's still young. 25 years is still young.
You're going to have to transform. I think, the chances of you having to transform, and the chances of the processes matching or being able to, because you want to move to the future as well, right? And if they're not near adequate, let's say your fridge is leaking and got black mold on floorboards. A nightmare scenario. Problem. The thing doesn't even, it's just exploded and isn't working. Usually you've got a couple years, right, of warranty. You're still looking at, in the case of, S4HANA, you're from ECC, you're looking at 3 years now, you're looking at 2027, but probably that date will move, but it's not going to stop working at that date, right? It's not going to be the fridge is not going to shut down. It's going to be, out of warranty or whatever. So, so that's something.
It's not the end of the world, right? So
no, but I think in the case of the opportunity to remodel the kitchen, option number 3 or whatever is especially in the case of, and you mentioned AI and all of the other innovations that are coming in now into the software and the whole enterprise architecture that you can do, with iPads and all kinds of different tools that you can use. You almost, in order not to fall behind, have to be looking, and that could be Bluefield, but that's heading towards Greenfield, I guess you would say. But it's still a hybrid, but pretty massive change, and because the processes are just not adequate for today's business, and to allow them to achieve their business objectives. And so are you on the client side typically? Or how are you working at Lemongrass? Is it you're a consulting company?
Yeah, Lemongrass is a consulting company. So we also do advisory. So and we advise clients, and we also do assurance and other things as well. So in our line of business, we don't necessarily limit ourselves to say, okay, we are going to be on the vendor side or a client side or something. So we have ERP world as such is very small, and all of us work in areas where we add value to contribute to the best outcome. So in many cases, clients talk to us directly for advisory, or assurance. So just to make sure there is an extra set of eyes, we help them there. And our bread and butter is lift and shift to the cloud. We help clients operate well in the cloud. So if there is a new client who wants to move to the cloud, great. We've got the patterns, we've got the tools, we can get it done quickly, easily, safely. So it removes that risk of, longer migration and all the pain points. So the team has done it many, many times. So it's just, we know what to do. We know which rock to lift and what to look for. So that Lemongrass is one of the best teams I've ever worked in migration. So that's great. So, and also the value comes in for clients who are already on the cloud. Not all the solutions have been architected for the cloud. The way we say that is, recently I've been working with a few clients who are running systems in the cloud like they're running in on-prem. So I like cars, and I'll give you a practical example of a car. So let's say you're having a hybrid car and you're operating it like a car with a carburetor. So what it means is you don't necessarily get the benefit of a hybrid car. You don't necessarily know that it can do a lot more, and you don't know the features or what it can mean to you. So if expert looks at it and architects the solution for the cloud, which could mean slight tweaks to something else, it may help in either performance or saving money or both, or also set the client up for innovation. So the reason you move to the cloud, yes, it's a risk mitigation. It helps you run. And then you can outsource some aspects of the risk and all that stuff. But overall, the reason for anyone to moving to the cloud is to be able to be on par with the industry and tap into the innovation abilities that is being available. So if we miss that opportunity, then we are missing a whole bunch of good stuff. So why do we do that? So we help clients tap into those things as well. So I like what this means and how we can help the clients. So this is beautiful.
Yeah, this is exactly what we do too. In more or less what we call the engage phase. Probably very similar to this before heading into the whole construction and everything of the solution. But it's just using these. We have process catalogs. I'm sure you have something similar where you kind of approach with process flows and everything like that, and fit the new solution to the way you want to work, the to-be workflows of the system. And also automation too. I mean, we talked last week to Doug Shannon, just coming out with some his episode coming up, and that the opportunities for automation are huge, and workflow, building that in with the enterprise architecture, and automating some of those workflows like invoice processing, for example. But those will be new flows, but that fits with the Bluefield approach. I think. It does. Those are the ones that you need to, address. And the possibilities, you tap into a good area, Dan. The possibilities are endless, right? So if we talked about Jan Baan's product Rapid, so all the good stuff that he is building to be able to be used in the cloud environment. So that opens opens doors for a whole new world that wasn't available before. So the technology has enabled us to do that. What a blessing there. So funny because the very last episode, the one before Doug, was with Paul Tedford, and I was talking with Sam about the component, the components doing that composable applications like Jan Baan is doing, and where it fits. And I was saying that, if it's an ERP thing that ERP does well, even if it's on premise, leave it there and pick and choose which things you want to, like your customization of your fridge there, pick up those things and move them up to the cloud, and have applications developed in Rapid. I think it's a wonderful, and we talked about this, and we talked about writing a book together, and that would be so sweet, by the way. But we would look at that possibility for particularly for the on-premise people, and it's permanent. Those are permanent applications, right? When you move, when you move one of those applications to a microservice, which is just an individual one or composable that crosses several. Those are permanent, right? Those are modern applications that you can use on your phone. You can do whatever you want with it, and they sit on top of your on-premise system. That's why I got so excited about the possibility. And I think Sam was trying to bait me, and he was like, "You want to rewrite the ERP?" And I said, "No, you don't want to rewrite the ERP. You just want to pick and choose and use it as a way to have modern applications now, which is fantastic for an on-premise customer, long-suffering on-premise customer that's going to take 3, 4, 5 years to get to the cloud. In the meantime, they get some great stuff, and it combines different types of applications, different types of ERP. Like say they had Bond 4, for instance. A lot of people still have Bond 4, believe it or not. And you can pair that up with a composable on top of that, on top of SAP where it is, on top of whatever. He had an example of Lotus Notes. Which was really interesting too. So anyway, that's great. And
so as you're talking about it, I was thinking like for countries, the big application is in countries who don't necessarily have stable internet or very expensive internet. One of our neighbors in Australia has the world's most expensive internet, so as we know, and the cost of operation for organizations working in those countries are quite high. So as a result, they're not able to tap into the innovation and other things. But this is what the Composable ERP is just opening doors for people like them. So they can still do what is needed and have, let's say, the invoice processing or other processes in the cloud. And those processes can eventually be outsourced if needed, because that can be operated from other countries as well, while the manufacturing or trucking or shipping can happen in country.
Stay where it is, right?
Yeah. So it's beautiful. Fantastic. So possibilities are endless. Yeah.
Yes, it is. So I love it that you have the open mind, and we're all in it for customers. No matter which ERP vendor we represent. And I think we're building something really nice together, and that's why I'm so excited. And so thank you so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Maybe we'll have you back. I'm sure we'll have more conversations about this.
I'm sure we will.
I really enjoy this.
Solutions Review is inviting you to join InsightJam.com. What started a few years ago as a social media event to celebrate enterprise technology has now grown into an always-on tech community with live events, discussions, videos, vendor showcases, and industry resources. Our vetted roster of experts, thought leaders, and analysts are sharing tips and tricks daily. So if you're interested in getting involved, join the long list of companies and brands who have already participated by visiting InsightJam.com today.